Hi traders, welcome to wrap up of Friday 21st of October. So I'll start today with an upside bias. Just in the pre-market, the buyers were definitely around and they started to buy the market up. And when you looked at the dailies as well, there was definitely, it looked like it had an opportunity to break up and break that previous resistance, which the market had hit its head on quite a few times in the last few days. So 1230 was an area that it struggled to break. So definitely thought it could get up there today, which it did. So we start off with the open here, pushed up higher, then actually pulled back. So this power point here, this is a really strong indicator that definitely the buyers are around and looking to take the market up for the morning. You know, if the sellers had a sold down through this, that's where you might want to change your perception of what the market's doing. But because this held up so well, definitely looked like the market's going to go up and break those 1230 mark, which is what it did. This particular one here, definitely one to look at fading. You can see that there's a bit of a high here, the buyers are around, but there's a high probability of the market pushing up through this and heading up and making higher highs, which it did, pushed up to about 1235. From there the market pulled back a little bit, but even when it's pulling back, you can see 1, 2, 3 power points there. None of the times the sellers actually pushed through those. Okay, so the buyers are holding up at each stage. So even though we're selling off, the buyers are still in control. Okay, from there we've got two little surges of buyers again. We actually had a 5-minute buy just here. This particular 5-minute buy, quite a good one actually, a really good one to take advantage of. Even though it didn't work, this normally would be a high percentage trade. Okay, so the buyers are around. At no stage it looked like the sellers had taken over. At this stage we're looking here for the market to come up and test these highs or even make high highs, which was a high probability of that happening. And also the entry, good entry as well. There's actually a power point here which is not showing up because it never got there, but the entry of the 5-minute was basically a power fade entry, which is like what you like to see with those trades going to make higher highs. Okay, so but that particular one didn't work, didn't take it, but in the room had internet problems at the time, so it probably saved us from a loss. But something I did want to point out is a way to potentially reduce your risk is you can see the entry is here. The market did push up a bit, then pull back. Okay, made quite a bit of a little low there, and then it's pushed back up again. So at this stage we're about a point up into what we could be profit in the 5-minute, then it started to pull back. So what you could do is, if it's going to break this area, the chances are it's going to continue to break. So you might reduce your stop and bring it up to 1 tick below this area, which would have been a 3 tick stop out rather than a full 5, 6 stop out. So a little tip there on how to potentially reduce your risk. Okay, so from there, the fact that 5-minute buy, which was quite a good setup, failed is an indicator that maybe the sellers are going to come in and take control. So then it's 1, 2, 3 power points here, all worked in, all faded in a row. So 3 fades in a row worked there. So definitely an indicator that the sellers were coming in strong. Down around here, I was looking to take advantage of the sellers, looking for a sell. Around here, it never actually came. No decent pullbacks. The only pullback we did have was just here. There was a bullet. A bit of a tough one to take advantage of, but for this one to work, it actually had to come down and break this resistance, or this support, this buyer support here. So really, if you want a high percentage trade, I guess you want to wait till the sellers do break this area. Then it's a very strong indicator that they're coming in. So looking for a sell just in this section here, but never actually came. Okay. So from there, we've pretty much come down. Any cash market lows was about 12.24, so it's come down, broken those, made a new cash low. The market's then popped back up. So if you're really keen on the sellers, I guess this is an opportunity to take advantage of. The fact we'd already made lower lows, reduces the risk of this working, but still high probability that it's going to bounce off that and head back down towards the lows again. Then it's gone just a little bit sideways, popped up here. So this is the particular one that Dave talks about. It's probably a difficult trade to take, one that's probably left to more experienced guys like David, but he talks about if you're looking for a change from the sellers to the buyers, leave the first one. Okay, quite often it'll bounce off that, then look to take the second upper power point, and fade that one. In this particular case, it broke through there. So at this stage here, I guess it's popped back down here. We're asking ourselves, are the sellers going to come back in and go for lows, or the buyer's going to take back control? So this particular one, hard to take advantage of because it's a bit of a 50-50 area of what's going to exactly happen. But the fact it held up, and then the buyers pushed in strongly from there, strong indicator that now, maybe the buyers are definitely back. So this particular power point here, it's faded and gone actually through that, so it's broken. This is the last resistant area of the sellers, so the fact it's broken up here indicates that the buyers are definitely back around. And then just around here, up around here, we had a 5-minute setup come along. Because of the way the moving averages were pointing, even though it was a sell, technically a sell, you'd take it as a fade. So this particular case, it would have been a 5-minute buy. Okay, so not a bad area. The buyers are definitely around. Just the fact it's in no man's land would make it very difficult to take. Okay, one that you could potentially wait till it comes down, hits the power point, and then take it. So in this particular case, it's nearly pushed through the power point, but it's held. So if you had waited, taken this particular power point with the indication that the buyers are definitely around because of this 5-minute fade, look for it maybe here and then push up, which is what the market did in the end. Right, I've got the 5-minute chart up here. So two setups for the day. A bit of a tough day for the 5 minutes because there was two reasonable setups and both of them as is actually failed. So this is the one I talked about here, where we're pushing up, looking to make higher highs, looking for the market to push up here. In the end it did push up a little bit but then fell away, so that one would have been stopped out. And then over here, this is the fade. So you can see here the moving average is clearly, the moving average 20, clearly pointing up. So you'd never be looking to sell this particular opportunity, even though the sell actually would have been stopped out both ways. But you can see here why it's definitely a buy rather than a sell. And like what I was talking about before, because the entry was right in no man's land between power points, that's very risky. I don't ever like to take them between power points. So if you had waited, the power point was down here, could have bought here, a little bit more of a pullback then, and definitely a chance that the markets were going to push back up, which is what it did. It would have come close to a stop out on the power point, just holding and then pushing up. So an opportunity there to maybe to manipulate the trade just a little bit and actually take it for a winner. Other thing I just wanted to point out too, today's a great example of using the 5-minute charts to our advantage. So David talks a lot about studying the 5-minute charts. Even if you don't want to take it as a trade, still watch the 5 minutes, and especially the moving average 20. So like I was talking about before, with the trades, we always look to our strongest emphasis is on the direction that the moving average 20 is pointing. So you can see here, all through the morning, this moving average is pointing up. So you should be always looking for buys at this particular opportunity. Okay. Then it started to push down. So this is where the market's pushed down here. It's made a bit of a support area, push back up. Once it breaks that support, you can see now too the moving average is starting to point down. So from this section here, you might start looking for sells. So this is where you change your tune. The market's definitely back on the sell side. Okay, around here it starts pushing back up, but still, you might not want to look to the buy side quite yet. You want to give it some sort of indication that the buyers are back. So it's made a bit of a support area here, and up here is the previous high, so a bit of a resistant area here. So once the market's broken back up through this area, so from here on you're looking for the buyers again, and that's where you can see here the moving average line is starting to point up, and this is where this 5-minute buy was here. So just to show you that same kind of example on the 1-minute chart. Okay, so the moving average line is always pointing up. So here, tough opportunity there, maybe a bit too early, but this one here, you definitely want to look at this fade here. Then there was a 5-minute buy up here, so the moving average is still definitely pointing up. Okay, from there you can see it's broken then this support area here. So from here on down, this is where you want to be looking for sellers to come into play. Okay, so maybe this particular pullback here, this is a bit of an opportunity here because you're still on the sell side. So then I was talking about this power fade here. This is one that David might sometimes consider. That's why I say leave it for more experienced traders at this stage, because it's going against the moving average. One that if you've studied this area, one you could take advantage of. But overall, unless you know this area very well, you probably want to leave it, as definitely the sell side is still around. But then it's popped up here, popped down. So once it breaks this area here, this is where we want to start looking for buyers again. So the moving average in this particular section, it's pointing up, so you want to look for buyers. So that's what I mean by this power point here was definitely maybe a goer. But a bit of an example of how you want to keep in line with the 5-minute chart, and that will keep you on the overall view of what the market's doing and the overall movement with the trends. Righto, that's a wrap up.